This is a rant video. In yesterday's video, I kind of dodged the question on how much software engineers make. Maybe this was about money, like how much money do programmers make? Enough. And I did this for a very specific reason. Well, two reasons. For one, it's really complicated. Like the range is very large. So I don't think having a conversation about salary in that context is very productive. Typically, when you're trying to understand like what to study or what market to go into, you'll research the jobs that are available to that career. But salary in this field is so one-dimensional that if you just say that number and don't qualify it with a million other things, it misses the mark. It's actually just flat out misleading. And it's exhausting to have to talk through that every single time. Like, yo, maybe Google it. People on Reddit and Hacker News love to talk about their offers and how much money they made and what they negotiated and stuff, but I don't. Which brings me to my second reason. This stuff just isn't fun for me to talk about. To me, we all know that software engineers make enough money. Some of the richest people on planet Earth are software engineers. I just think that we could move on to more interesting discussions. To me, it seems like when people are asking about salary, it's people being motivated by making a lot of money or getting a top salary, which isn't a thing I really jive with. Some people are just motivated by money. You'd be surprised to know that a lot of people who work on Wall Street aren't doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. In software like this too, because whenever there's money in an industry, it's going to attract those people in a way that it wouldn't if it wasn't as big or as growing of an industry. I have to clarify here. I know that it's important to do your research and make financially responsible decisions. I, myself graduated with a lot of debt that I needed to pay off. So knowing this information is valuable, but I don't think that's what this is. Maybe I'm wrong. To me, I see a dialogue that reeks of people validating themselves based on their salary as if it's like life achievement points, far beyond like the means to have a comfortable life, or using salary as a proxy for the quality of the job. Like if you look on Reddit, sometimes you'll see people who are like, oh, I'm really having trouble deciding between these two offers. Oh yeah, like what are you considering? Oh yeah, no, so like one is 200K and the other is 180K, but like I really like the company, so it's so hard. It's so hard for me to make this decision. I've been there. I've like thought about the amount of money I make as life achievement points, and it's a bad look. I don't recommend it. And I don't want to support a culture of substituting making a lot of money for an internal sense of worth. To disclaim this again, everybody's situation is different. Knowing the answers to these questions can make you a better negotiator, but I personally don't want to make content about that. I'm still trying to figure out how much content I want to make about tech in the first place. Which reminds me, if you don't come for the tech stuff, hit the subscribe button, because one of my YouTube worries is that I gather a bunch of people who really want tech content from me, and when I don't make that, it'll kind of just like tank the channel, but that's just algorithm shop talk. Every video about software engineer salaries makes me cringe, except for tech leads, but he removed it. That was a good one. But usually they're not telling the whole story because it's easier not to, because it's complicated. Let me explain what I mean. First of all, cost of living is all over the place in the United States. And the tech industry is biggest on the West Coast and in New York, in cities that are comparatively far more expensive than the rest of the US. Which means if you don't work in one of those big cities, you may be making a really comfortable salary, but not know it because people are talking about how much they make in San Francisco. And in the big cities like San Francisco, Seattle, New York, the salaries can tend to get like really big and fuzzy and not in an obvious way. Like a 60K salary in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, working at ConocoPhillips is gonna go really far. You're gonna have a really comfortable life. Whereas like a 130K salary in San Francisco, which is like a reasonable starting salary for like an established company, is not gonna go as far. It's gonna be a completely different lifestyle probably, because the cost of living is so high. So you've gotta like be looking at the cost of living calculators and figure out how the salaries match up. And even when you do that, there's still other factors. You gotta weigh the value of actually living in San Francisco, where like changing jobs is a common occurrence and often just means that you get off on a different stop on the train commute wise. A lot of companies in Silicon Valley will give you equity, which is some ownership stake in the company, and that becomes a non-trivial part of compensation, but it requires a lot of complex thought. The size of the company matters. Are they public or private? Are these stock options or restricted stock units? For people who work at companies like like Google and Facebook, which are both publicly traded, very large companies, equity in the company is essentially as good as cash. So you can like add to that total comp number a considerable amount. Even someone new to the industry at Google or Facebook could be having a signing bonus of $100,000 or like a total comp package of 200K right out of college. But maybe the base is only $120,000. And that seems like the same as a small startup over here. But what's you have to realize is that small startup can't offer equity that's as good as cash. They're essentially offering lottery tickets, for lack of a better metaphor. But typically you do get more ownership of those lottery tickets than you would at like a Google or Facebook. And you could be really calculated about that. A lot, like some companies have a far better chance of succeeding than others, or they're further along in their journey. And so it's a better bet. This is only possible because there's a ton of money flowing into the tech industry right now. In other countries, software engineers don't make these like inflated salaries. They're like pretty normal jobs. I'm actually in favor of salary transparency within companies because salaries can be really fuzzy. Like you could just be a better negotiator and get paid like a considerable percentage higher than one of your peers, which is kind of messed up. Whereas other companies have a policy of not negotiating offers at all. And it's also a moving target. So these numbers are constantly changing and you've got to keep up to date to understand like what you should be looking for. It's not as simple as it seems. I think there's more value to be had than in surface numbers, and I hope to provide that here. Thanks to our friend the hedonic treadmill, there's always going to be more money to make, more achievements to collect, but after you've satisfied your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's not going to increase your happiness level. Don't get me wrong, salary is definitely important. It's literally what pays the bills. I just think there's more value in most things than just the superficial one-dimensional numbers. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's all I've got for today because I've got to go to the doctor. If you like this video, you can hit the like button, but the algorithm doesn't care. So thank you for watching this far because it does care about that. I'll probably be back next week, but I want to slow down the content a little bit just to think about the direction that I want to take things and be just very cognizant about that, especially after reaching 50,000 subscribers, which, wow, thank you so much everyone for that. But yeah, just a quick rant, probably, full of problems and logical holes, but I hope someone found value in this. I'll see you next week.